Hello there and welcome to Pokemon of the Week with me, Daniel, OnionGrave64 or Civil Onion based upon how you know me. This week's Pokemon is a Pokemon that many a person enjoy having, however not a very good Pokemon for Let's Plays. It's Umbreon, number 197 in the Pokédex and is in the underused tier, a tier where it tends to hang out throughout the generations. As a pure Dark type, it's weak to Bug and Fighting. It resists, however, Dark and Ghost, and is immune to Psychic. Not a lot of weaknesses, resistances and immunities in there, there's only 5 in total. But that's what you get with a pure Dark type. Got 2 abilities, you never see one of them though. You will never ever see Inner Focus because the other ability that Umbreon has, Synchronize, is far better. Inner Focus prevents flinching, but like I said, you'll never see it, so you don't really have to know for this Pokemon. You'll see Inner Focus on Pokemon like Crobat more often. Synchronize, however, means that if Umbreon gets burned, poisoned, paralysed, the effect goes bouncing back to the user, meaning that you normally end up with both the Pokemon on the field having the same disability at the same time. Now, all Eeveelutions have the same base stats, they're just distributed differently. There's always a base 130, and in Umbreon's case, that is in its special defense. Luckily, its other 2 high stats, its 110 and its 95, are in defense and HP respectively. So you don't have to be a genius to work out that Umbreon does not do a lot of attacking very often, and that if it wants to attack, it has to do a hell of a lot of setup first. I mean, look at both its attack stats and its speed are in our red category, being at base 65 or 60. So needless to say, if you ever plan to use either attack stat, you're going to have to do a lot of work on it. So let's get to the first of the 3 sets, and this is what most people would say is the best set, and what I'll also add is that this is pretty much the only set you ever see competitively. So let's get on with it. What this does is heal your other allies on your team, and it also gives them status removal as well. So say you're really suffering with your team getting affected by Toxic Spikes. Heal Bell, in one go all of those problems disappear. Every Pokemon on your team gets rid of its status effect, whether it be poison, burn, sleep, freeze, anything like that. And obviously things like confusion and attraction you get rid of when you switch out anyway, so don't worry about those. Wish mechanics in the 5th generation mean that you pass the maximum possible from your Umbreon at all times, and with a base 95 HP you're going to be passing wishes running up close to 200 HP. That's a big pass, so unless you're passing it to a Pokemon like Blissey, it will almost always heal more than half for the Pokemon that you switch in next. So as you may be able to tell from my explanation of Wish, this Umbreon does a lot of switching out. But if you need to heal yourself, that is why you have Protect. Wish obviously doesn't work instantaneously, it requires a turn before the effect happens. So by using Protect you can guarantee that Umbreon will receive its own Wish, and therefore heal 50% of its HP at all times. Combine this with Leftovers and, as you know, if you Protect, that turn you're pretty much safe, and Leftovers recovery will apply, and then next turn, or the end of that turn rather we should say, you get Wished as well. So you get a lot of healing with this set. Final move though, you can use, the most common one in the 5th generation is Foul Play. Reason for this is because it's the only move that is damage dealing based upon the opponent's attack stat rather than your own. And as you can see from the EV investment, we're not putting anything in attack here, and one of the optional natures here is Calm. If you're using Calm, obviously Foul Play is definitely a good idea. The reason, by the way, that Calm is so popular is because if Umbreon gets confused, when it hits itself it'll do a minimal amount of damage. The other alternative is Sassy if you want to go for Payback. The Payback, really, for it to be any good, relies on you to go second. But Umbreon's very, very slow, and there's an option, I've put an asterisk next to it, there's an option of putting a 0 speed IV on your Umbreon. If Payback goes first, it only has a base 50 power, 75 with the same type attack bonus. That's doubled if Umbreon does not go first, so bear that in mind. The EVs are very defensively biased. You want to maximise your HP, to maximise the amount of HP that your Wish can give to a Pokemon, be it Umbreon itself or another Pokemon. Maximising your special defense is also very much the best thing to do. As you may be able to work out, Umbreon is much better at sponging the special hits than the physical one. But the reason why almost all Umbreon sets are specially biased is not just because of the base stat difference, but it's also because a lot of the Pokemon that can attack you on the physical side that you are afraid of can stat up on you, and therefore you don't want to stay in against it anyway. Pokemon that use like Bulk Up or Swords Dance, be it Scizors, Machamps, Mineshaws, anything like that, Umbreon doesn't want to be there. As I put in the notes, Umbreon is very, very predictable. This is almost the only set you'll ever see, and as a result, people will know what set you're running and will, as a result, bring in Pokemon like Scizor as often as possible. Preferably Swords Dance Scizors for Umbreon. They're the best versions for getting rid of this Pokemon. But it's not just them. A lot of Pokemon in higher tiers can get it. Heracross in particular really likes going to town on Umbreon. Whether it again be a Guts booster or Choice Scarf, they'll all hurt Umbreon very hard. If you don't like using Umbreon for a set like this, because this is a set that you cannot use for attacking under any circumstance, please note that down now. If you don't want to use Umbreon, maybe it's not an appropriate type for your team, Togekiss is another good example in the UU tier for you. It learns Roost, just like Umbreon can learn Moonlight. It can get Wish as well. It's very specially bulky in particular too, like Umbreon. It's just a different typing. Obviously it being normal and flying type, having a different array of resistances, immunities and weaknesses. So plan your team through very well before you pick Umbreon. Now, like I said, there's only really one set that Umbreon's used. However, when I used to be very prominent on Pokemon Battle Revolution, there were a lot of sets that people did use in a customised way. And I'm going to kind of grab a lot of the ideas that I thought were quite good and mix them into two sets that I think are actually quite usable. So this is the first one, and it's our Curse Umbreon. Curse raises your attack and your defense by 1 stage and lowers your speed by 1 stage. And that sounds just brilliant in combination with Payback, doesn't it? Because Payback relies on you going last to do the most damage. Now this set is not about necessarily helping your teammates, it's more about trying to make Umbreon do something itself. That's why we've got Moonlight instead of Wish. Moonlight heals 50% of its HP, unless it's raining, in which case you'll heal less. If it's hail or sandstorm, you'll heal less as well. If it's sunny, bizarrely, Moonlight heals more. Don't really get that one, but never mind, we'll run with it. But otherwise it heals 50% if there's no weather effect. Your third move though, or the movement I've chosen to put in the third move slot anyway, is the most difficult one to pick here. Because you could pick Taunt, and the reason you would pick Taunt despite Umbreon being quite slow is because you don't want Pokemon setting up on you as you're setting up. So Taunt can get you around that. Unfortunately, it is nerfed for 5th generation, so it only works for 3 turns. Toxic is an option in case you can't break down the Pokemon that you are facing despite being +6 attack. Sometimes this happens because obviously Dark type, as I put in the note there, is not very good for type coverage, so it does happen. For example, Registeel is a Pokemon that can get around this as well. If you come across Registeel, switch out, but there are other examples. For example, even if you had Regirock, which has an enormous defense, even at +6 you're going to struggle. So Toxic can be a way to get around Regirock. Heal Bell's your other option though, just in case you want to make this a bit more versatile and not just reliant upon itself and you want to help your team out. You may be confused why I put Sucker Punch next to Payback. Sucker Punch relies on the opponent attacking you on that turn. And a second qualification for that would be if the Pokemon that you are facing is attacking you and has a priority move and is faster than you or has a higher priority move than you, you'll fail as well. So it is a lot more high risk. Sucker Punch also has lowish PP. But Sucker Punch does get a surprise factor in. Not very often you see it on Umbreon. And like I said, on Pokemon Battle Revolution, the 4th generation, you saw it quite a lot, so I thought I'd note it. EV wise, it's identical to the first set because you're relying on not dying while you're setting up. If you were ballsy, you could sacrifice some of your defensive EVs, especially the special defense stat, into your attack. But personally, I would recommend being as defensive as you can and putting leftovers on it. Sassy Nature is the best because you want to boost your special defense, because obviously Curse will boost your physical defense for you. And it also means you're slower, therefore Payback is likely to go last more often, therefore you're likely to do double damage more often. Do you see how this works? So finally, with the third set, it's another set that you kind of saw on PBR, and it involves baton passing. Obviously there are some laws to do with baton passing, what you can and can't do. Don't worry about them because this is completely legitimate. Baton pass or baton pass means that whatever stats you've grown or decreased in will be passed over to another Pokemon. And it's not just Curse that Umbreon gets. Umbreon does have access to Work Up if you don't want to use Curse. Work Up raises your attack and special attack by 1 stage apiece. It is quite versatile because it means you can baton pass into any fast Pokemon and it will enjoy having Work Up. However, Curse is the much more common and appropriate choice considering that Umbreon is so biased to its special defense. Therefore, boosting its physical defense means it can get up many Curses before it baton passes out. Once you've picked your stat move of choice, you can then either have Moonlight to make sure you heal yourself, or you can have Wish to make sure you either heal yourself if you have Protect, which is an option for the 4th move, or alternatively you can heal the Pokemon that you're going to baton pass into and get a double whammy. So this can be very, very potent indeed. Not only can you baton pass into a Pokemon and give it a boost, but you can also give it health at the same time. That can be very good if you're switching into a Pokemon that is low on health but could really do with sweeping for you, and because you're so slow you're likely to go last, therefore your baton pass is very safe for the Pokemon switching in. Just make sure they're not killed by Stealth Rock or Spikes on the way in, that would be a bit embarrassing. Umbreon can attack in its own right, as you saw with the second set, so Payback is an option. Again, Sucker Punch is there, but I've already discussed that in set 2. But if you choose Protect and Wish in conjunction, you do have to be very careful because you are massive taunt bait. And if you get taunted, you can't do anything but switch out. So do be very, very careful. I have done a bit of homework for you though. And in UU, ideal partners for Curse are Machamp, Hitmontop and Nidoqueen. Whereas if you choose Work Up, Tornadus and Mineshower are very good options. I thought I'd make this a bit easier for you because it's not a set you'll have likely have seen that much. Item wise, it's the only set that really has any variety. Because you're not packing Heal Bell, an option is Lumberry. However, a lot of Pokemon will not affect you with a status move knowing you have Synchronize. It's just there as a safety precaution, i.e. if a Pokemon, for example, out of nowhere, like a Pokemon like Camerupt. Camerupt is a Pokemon that is immune to many status ailments actually. But if Camerupt Will-O-Wisped you, Synchronize would try and burn Camerupt, but it wouldn't happen because it's Fire type, therefore it can't be burned. Likewise, if a Fortress used Toxic on you, as hard as Umbreon would try to Synchronize that back, Fortress is part Steel, therefore it cannot be poisoned. So Synchronize isn't quite as brilliant as you would think, but it is still far better than Inner Focus. Leftovers is going to be the more common item, but Lumberry is there for extra security. Again, this is the 3rd set in a row with identical EVs, but Umbreon really only does one thing very well, and that is be bulky. The only difference is you can choose that bulkiness to either heal your team for you, either status or HP wise, or pass a boost in that form of either Curse or Work Up, or kind of be a mix and match between the two. It's not very versatile to say the least, despite the fact that you've got quite a lot of moves. For an Eeveelution, your move pool isn't quite as abysmal as normal, but the problem is that Umbreon's base stat distribution dictates that it is very predictable. So now, before I finish, I'm going to bring it up yet again. Pokemon of the Week, it's going to last 40 episodes. The 40th episode is a special, but for it to be special, submit me some sets. Sets that you've used, sets that you want me to test, sets that you're interested in. Give me some sets, give me some information and I will review them. I don't know how, it will depend on how good the quality of the data you give me is. But send it either to my email there or comment on my Facebook page submitting a set. Remember to include all the information as I put there, and if you don't submit, the 40th episode is basically going to be hi everybody, bye everybody, and then the intro and outro, and that'll be about it. So let's not make that happen. Thank you very much for listening.